everyone, my name's Sophia,
My name is Hank.
and welcome to You Know Me So Well. Today we're going to talk about the fear of failure, which I feel like is just a constant for us. We're 20 years old. We're like in this period of our life where we just like have no clue what we're doing. Everything feels unknown. Everything feels so far away, but also yet so close. And I feel like it's just been this like continuous cycle of just trying to make it for a couple of years now, or at least on
Yeah,
my part.
definitely.
I feel like for me, like when I was in high school, I think it all kind of stems from high school. I mean, obviously, like I probably felt this way a little bit in like middle school, but I think it really became imminent when I was in high school and I was working to like go to college. And I was like a major like overachiever. I always felt like I wasn't doing enough, like, the whole thing. But like the scariest part of it was like I was putting in so much work to try and get into a good school, and I just had no clue what was going to happen. Because, I mean, especially now, like college results or the college admission process is so competitive and difficult and crazy. So it's like there's so much unknown, but I had no certainty. And so I just was always scared that I wasn't gonna make it to my goal of like getting into a good college. And if I didn't get into a good college, I probably would have felt like I failed because, and I don't even know whether it was like personally, I was like, I mean, obviously, like, I wanted to go to a good college, but I think it was more because everyone around me made it seem like if I didn't go to a good college, that like I was going to be screwed for the rest of my life. So it's like it's like I feel like you just get told like, okay, like you have to do well in high school so you can get into a good college, and then when you're in a good college, like you have to work hard so you can get a good job, and then like, once you're in a job, like you have to work really hard to like keep like, you know, moving up, like climbing the ladder, so that you can achieve success, whatever success is. Generally, success is like, I feel like making a lot of money, like having a successful position, being like recognized in some way, maybe creating something that's like unique and different and that's like gained like a popular following. Like that's generally, I feel like what we're told success is. And from like a very young age, you're told that you have to already be producing success. So like in high school, like if you want to get into a good college, like you have to do X, Y, and Z, create a nonprofit, like do research in a research lab. Like at least this was my experience. I don't know if this was your experience, Hank. Was this your experience?
No, you did much more high
Yeah, yeah,
school than
yeah.
I did.
So me and Hank had a very different high school experience, which I guess we'll elaborate in like a different uh, episode. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to get to is I feel like I've been on this cycle of trying to make it since I was in high school, and it's it's just this constant like overwhelming fear of, oh my God, I'm like, am I gonna fail in life? Like if I don't do this, like am I doomed for the rest of my life? Today I did like a virtual interview for sort of like a dream position at like a dream company. And I hate virtual interviews. I like, as my friend has described it, they're just meant to weed like potentially really great candidates out. But I like messed up this part of it, and I like finished and I was like, okay, well that was it. I can like throw that out of the window. And it was like frustrating because it's like, in theory, like, do I need the position? Like, I have an internship for the summer also. Like, that's the other thing. Like, this was like applying out of fun. And yet, like, when it came down to it, I was like, oh gosh, like, that's the end of it. Like, then I was like thinking ahead, and I was like, because I didn't do well in this interview, you know, like then I'll probably won't get the position, or like I wouldn't get like another interview and then I wouldn't get the position. And then like long term, like God knows what's going to happen. Like I'm screwed for life. And I feel that with just like a lot of things, like what I'm doing with my life in college. Like I'm not in like a, I know there are people who can commit to like student organizations and stuff like that. And like I know those are really great for like your resume and like building connections and all that and like moving forward, but I just can't do it. And like I've felt so guilty about it before because it's like I feel like it, you know, if I could commit, like it could be a really great resource, but it's just like I feel like I can. And then I just think like, oh my gosh, am I like failing at life because this is just something that I don't enjoy doing, but I feel like we've been told that if you don't do it, like you're missing out on these like valuable resources that could really help you in the long run. And then the other thing is like, what is success? Like, what are we defining as success? It's a very like conventional definition of like what I had explained, like, you know, make good money, like have like a reputable position, you know, like I feel like many times when we think of success, we think about it in like the corporate sense. Like, you know, like if you're working in investment banking, like work at Goldman Sachs, Stanley, like you want an internship when you're like a sophomore, junior in college, you want to get that like return offer and then you want to make it big like there and move up. Or like, and oh, that's the other thing. Like I'm doing marketing and for some reason I've convinced myself that like I also need to be like doing something at Morgan Stanley, like, or like Goldman Sachs. Like, why? You know, like I don't have any interest in finance. Like, just because it's like a big company and it's like well known for like investment banking, why do I, as like someone who wants to do marketing, and I don't even know if that's actually what I want to do. Like, that's just what I've convinced myself I want to do because I feel like like, I don't know, like, like I feel like I have to do it because we're told like you should go into corporate, you know, like if you're like going into an unconventional route of like, let's say like I wanted to make art. Okay, maybe this is just me, but I feel like if I were to say like right now like, okay, you know what? Forget everything that I've been doing. Forget the marketing, forget whatever else I've been told that I should be doing with my life. Let's just say I want to do art and I want to make it like a living, which Hank is trying to convince me to do, kind of. Um,
You should.
but let's say that's what I want to do. Like, I feel like I would be freaking out because for me, that feels like there's like a lack of stability. It feels like I don't know if I could actually make it in that field. And I don't, like, I feel like when people talk, oh, I was talking about this in a class the other day. I feel like when people talk about like those more like unconventional routes, it seems like there's actually no possibility of success. You know, like you'll hear people be like, you know, most famous artists only got famous after they died. So it's like, okay, I want to be an artist. I want to be successful. I have to die to be successful. Like that's really promising. So yeah, so I think it can be really scary to go like an unconventional route. But at the same time that just leads us into doing things that we may or may not really want to do, and then we just like kind of live on this like treadmill of, or like what is it, the hamster wheel. We
Yeah.
live on this like hamster wheel going around of like, oh my gosh, am I failing at life? Like if I don't do this, am I gonna fail? Like it just feels like just constant doom of like failure, you know. And then you see people like accomplishing these things and many times they're like maybe younger or like whatever it is, and you're like, why am I not capable of doing that? You know, like, and then you feel like a failure again. Like, it's just, I don't know, for some reason, we're just like living that life. Anyways, let's pass it over to Hank, who I feel like has been able to venture out of that conventional space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hank was doing music for the longest time. And I feel like that's one of those, I mean, you in your own way probably had a lot of fear of failure, but
Yeah.
that's a little less conventional.
I've experienced plenty of failure. Yeah. Already. But I think once I think once I got to LA, finally at school where I was going to school for music, I think I really let I think for the first time, because I've been working on music since I was like 14, but I think for the first time it really felt real. Like it was like really what I was doing. I was heading down this career path, and like Sophia was saying with art, people talk about it as if it is all or nothing, and there's just no really realistic or sustainable path to even get to the point of making a like real career out of it. And I think I did let a lot of that get to my head, and it kind of is what I let get into my head and encouraged me to take a break for a long time. But recently I've been doing it again, and I've just kind of realized like how much I do love it. And I think I really regret spending a lot of last year staying away from it, and because of the fear of failure of it. It really kind of pushed me away from pursuing it and doing it. I think that's already something I'm starting to regret a little bit, but I'm really trying not to make that mistake again. I've started doing something else over the last 6 months, and even now, like over the last couple of months, I've even felt it creep up into the back of my head again with this new thing, like, oh, I'm gonna fail. 90% of people who do this fail, so why am I any different than 90%? And it's just something I'm doing a much better job of reacting to it this time, but I mean, it's a roadblock for sure. It's not something that's easy to get over. But I mean, I know as we talked about in another episode, if you don't even try, you're gonna fail. I would rather go down trying than never give myself the shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I think the major issue with like the fear of failure is that if you really let it get to you, you might just stop trying, you know? You
Right.
might just like fall to what am I trying to say?
You might
You
just
might
let
just
it
like
push you away.
yeah, you might just like fall down this rabbit hole of like okay, but like why? You know, like it's like I've tried this before and I failed.
Right.
So why should I try again? And I think that comes with like probably like a lot of rejection, or if you're like, pretty sensitive to any kind of rejection, like any small thing can kind of just like deter you from doing it
Right.
again, trying it again, or even trying something else too, because like you might be like, oh well, I tried this like one time I put myself out there and I tried this. Like I recently I auditioned for a dance team at school, and like I was not going to audition because I was really scared. Like I have not really been dancing the past 4 years. And, like with being out of practice, like you kind of just get worse and worse and stuff like that. But like then I was like telling one of my friends, I mean, Hank was trying to push me too, but I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And I was telling one of my friends, she was like, you should do it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, let me just try. So, whatever. Me and Hank went to the gym, we filmed it. And like, I was actually decently surprised at my ability. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, like I'm actually a lot better than I expected myself to be, given the fact that I've just been out of dance for a long time. And so I like was pretty confident about my audition. I also didn't think like, oh, it's not like the school's dance team, it's just like a student organization. So I was like, they're probably not like super strict. So I was pretty confident that I was gonna get in. And then I didn't get in. And that was like, oh wow, okay. And I feel like that definitely, like, especially in the moment, I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the end of dance for me. Like, that was my last hurrah. I tried, I put it away. But, like, the truth is, like, dance was such a big part of my life. And, like, I don't want to just, like, throw it away. But I definitely feel like it's been a little hard, like, s- sitting here and it just, like, saying, okay, that didn't work out, but, like, I should just find a different way to continue instead of completely giving up on it because some random student organization was like, she's not good enough.
Right. No, I mean, I remember like back in high school, I would come home from school and I'd make like 5 to 10 songs a day. And like that was pretty much all I would do the rest of the day. And like
You didn't do homework?
I, was-
We really lived different lives.
I had a study hall first period
Oh, wow.
in which I would sometimes do my homework, sometimes ask every person I knew if they had it, and they would send it to me.
Oh my gosh.
So that was, yeah. But anyways, so I'd come home from school. I'd,
Wait, sorry, I just have to say something. I would have been the person you were asking.
well, we'll have to cover this maybe next
Yeah,
episode or
we
something.
definitely will.
But yeah, I'd come home from school. I'd make like 3 or 4 songs, go up, eat dinner with my family, go back down to the basement, make like 3 or 4 more, and then go to bed. And like that was what I did every single day. And like I was just having fun with it. You know, like I didn't care. That was just how it should. I was making whatever I wanted. And then when I got to LA and everything all of a sudden got so real, I would like sit down at my desk to make something and I would like just completely psych myself out. I'd be like, oh, what if it's bad? Like, what if I listen to it and I'm like, I hate it. This sucks. I'm terrible at it. Like, I was constantly, that fear of failure was just constantly like flooding my mind and giving, like, forcing these negative thoughts into my brain, like, completely pushing me away from even trying, which is like, I, I don't know. Like, I already said this earlier, but it's definitely something I regret letting happen to me. Like I remember early high school when I would like first, I used to just look up, I'd scroll through like social media and find different like unknown artists in my city like all night. And I just hit them up, send them like a ton of stuff. And they would always, let me paint a picture for you. When I was like 14, 15, I was like, I was very skinny, but my face was chubby. And I had like a military buzz cut. So I wasn't really like the type of person you'd like expect to make any sort of quality music whatsoever. But every single time I sent music to these people, they all would pretty much send me the same response. They'd be like, "Wait, this is you making this? Like for real?" And like I had that interaction every time. Like, and I remember towards the end of high school, pre-COVID, me and my friend who I made music with, we started hanging out with people of this major label in Pittsburgh, and we started working with a lot of people in there too. And every time we would go in there, like again, I was like a little bit better looking, I guess, at this point in my life, but definitely not anything that, definitely still not the type of person you would expect to make good stuff. And I'd get that same reaction from each and every one of them every single time I did it. But then COVID happened. I took a long time. Like I wasn't working with any artists really because I couldn't go out to studios or anything or meet new people.
Hank went through a 13-month
I
quarantine.
did, yeah, yeah. March to April, yeah, March 2020 to April 2021. Just,
And I thought my quarantine was bad.
just
It
in
was it was a couple months
yeah,
max. Actually, it was less than that.
just in the crib hanging out. It was a good time.
Was
But
it?
no, it's not. It got, it had its moments, I guess, but no, for the most part, it was absolutely not a good time. But anyway, so any kind of momentum that I had pre-COVID, meeting all these new people, kind of just disappeared. Um, and I think just mental health and creatively, I kind of went down a very bad path during the COVID time, and it again, like that's when the fear of failure stuff started to creep into my mind. And I think now, like now I've started working on a lot more music again recently, like more than I have in probably over a year. And it's like I've kind of gotten over the fear of failure barrier and I'm making stuff that I've enjoyed more than I have in years. Like the artists who I work with and my friends who I like send my music to, they've all said like it really sounds like you're back on the stuff you used to be doing. Like it really is some of the best stuff you've been doing in a long time. And so, yeah, I guess.
Everyone look out for Hank's EP coming soon, wherever it is. Anyways, I think like the advice that we can put out there for anyone who, I mean, I'm sure like everyone has some sort of sense of fearing to fail. And if you don't, I really want to be you. Like whatever life you're living, please transport it over because that's my ultimate goal. That's what I want to achieve. That's success to me. Um, not the success that society's putting out for us, but I feel like the advice to take away from this is no matter how many times you fail, you need to get back up again because eventually something will come out of it. And also, if people see that you're really trying, like let's say like okay, like with the music thing, you know, like you're trying to get the attention of like an artist and you just keep going at it, that persistency might actually get you somewhere. So don't just like give up on it, you know? And maybe we should take this advice for our podcast.
Yeah,
If we ever feel like we need to give up.
right.
Or not need to, but want to. But yeah, you know, pick yourself up, maybe give yourself some time, like a little breather. Um, you know, look in the mirror, tell yourself that you're great, do some affirmations, do whatever will make you feel a little bit better about the situation, and then continue on. And find something that keeps you going, whatever that like motive is. Maybe it's, you know, like I want to make my family proud, or maybe it's I've had this dream since I was like 12 years old and I just really want to make it happen for myself. And the other thing is, I feel like with this like fear of failure, like on the bright side, many times there's this like maybe slow, maybe fast progression of building up to like the real thing. So like for me, like I did an internship in New York over the summer. And like it's not like the internship itself was like any kind of like dream position or like something I would have loved to do with my life. But I was like standing in New York and I was like, oh my gosh, I've had this dream since I was like 12 years old. Like when I was 12 years old, I would lay in bed at night and I would think, when I'm in my 20s, and generally this was like when I would be in my later 20s, but like I would envision myself like living in New York, working this cool job, which I did have a cool job when I was doing my internship, with a boyfriend, just like really like just seemingly having my life together and all figured out. And it's not that my life is figured out, but like in that moment, life felt pretty perfect for me. And I felt really proud of what I'd accomplished and everything I'd done to get there. And just the constant work that I put in to achieve this like dream of mine, even if it was for a more temporary period. But yeah, um, you know, keep going. I don't know if that helps. Hank, do you have any advice?
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, I think if you, no matter what it is, if you work hard enough and long enough at something, stuff will begin to come out of it, right? And I know with my personal experience, once things started to come out of it, is once the whole fear of failure thing actually started to creep in. Because I think the whole time I was just doing stuff for me, I never actually felt like I had anything to lose by doing it. And once things actually kind of started to happen and things started to come out of it, I think the pressure of, oh, now I actually kind of have stuff to lose from this. Like that all kind of built up on me. And if you do any sort of thing once the, no matter what it is, once you actually start to get what you want and you actually have things to lose, don't get scared and start to run away from it instead. Just put your head down and keep going through it.
And also, one last thing I want to add, define success the way you want to define it. Don't, I mean, I feel like it's always important to like take into account what people who know you well think might be best for you, but like really think about what you want. And if that's not like, I don't know, becoming an investment banker or working in corporate, that is totally fine. Find something that works for you and then create goals based off of that.
Right. You need to do what will make you happy at the end of the
Yeah,
day. And
yeah.
even if you did become an investment banker or something like that, someone is going to have something to say about it. No matter what it is that you choose to do, someone's going to have something negative to
Oh,
say
yeah,
about it.
there's always people out there who need to share their opinion
Right.
and it's not a positive one.
And so just do what you want to do, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like I understand it's sometimes it's just not that easy. Like if I were to say I want to be an artist right now, like there's there's some things I need to consider. But I think like start small and work towards it and you know, eventually you can get there and make it like your thing. So,
No matter what it is that you're doing, I'm sure there's people in that field who you like look up to or like you admire and like kind of look up to them for inspiration. And just kind of remember that they were in your spot at one point, you know? And you're going to have a ton of people tell you it's unrealistic that you'll be like them or whatever it is, but I'm sure people told them the same thing, you know? Just take the shot.
oh yeah, that's the other thing. Just because success in a maybe more unconventional field doesn't level up to what success is generally considered to be, doesn't mean it isn't success. Anyways, okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up because this episode might have been all over the place. We'll see once it gets edited. But thank you so much for listening. I feel like we've left you with a lot to think about. Maybe this will resonate with you, maybe it won't, but if it does, I feel like really think about it. And honestly, I think we can both take our own advice as well. Anyways, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And we'll see you next week.
Ah!
Bye.